I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a radio announcer. I'm a high school football coach. And since I was old enough to stand on the side of a stream next to my dad, I've been an angler. I've fished with bait, lures, and flies. I've fished with spinning gear, fly rods, jigging poles, and tip-ups. I've stood on ice, waded rapids, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing, be it freshwater or salt, heavy flows, high seas, or cutting through a foot of ice, as much as I do, no matter what the quarry, no matter the tactics, no matter the chosen tackle. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop this Thursday, March 24th. Opening day is getting closer. I saw some fish this morning. I snuck down to the stream and watched. So we're all pretty excited about that. We've got a lot going on. We've got a lot in this show, so we're going to get right to it. A couple of clips from the Connecticut Surfcasters Association's demo day. This first one, we're going to talk about Maine and stripers. Maine is known for its rocky coasts and the scenery and whatnot. But the striper fishing's pretty good too, as we're about to find out.
John Kovach, Yankee Fisherman, here at the Connecticut Surfcasters Association Demo Day. We are with Captain Ron McKee of Striper Maniac, Maine spelled like the state. How big is surf casting up in Maine?
A lot bigger than people actually perceive it to be, because we got 3,500 miles of shoreline. Range between rock piles all over the place and some really nice long sandy beaches. So we've got a complete mix match of people fishing bait on the bottom, families going out at night, and then the hardcore is going out onto the rock piles and stuff. It's been going for a long time, long time.
The rock piles would have to be pretty productive, but pretty tough to get to?
No, actually our access is pretty easy in a lot of places up there. There's a lot of parks and stuff that are right adjacent to them, parking areas and stuff a lot of the communities have. And the easiest thing is just tell the local police you're out there fishing at night, and they take care of watching your vehicle for you and making sure you're safe. Had many times and stuff where they've asked somebody how many other guys are out there, any problems, everybody okay, or if we've needed help for anything and stuff, always been right there to sit there and lend a hand.
Oh, that's awesome. To have that relationship.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's just a matter of phone call. So a lot of people don't understand, you know. And of course, there's always the guy in the cruiser and stuff that's looking for a spot to fish the next day he's off and stuff like that. So
never hurts.
Oh,
it never hurts.
I run into a few guys and stuff out on the rocks and stuff when they've been off duty and stuff. Hey, you were right. You were right. They were there.
So tell us about Striper Maniac. You're making custom rods, lures, and
flies. Yep. I started back a long time ago. I want a custom rod, and this is back when I was in high school. I was making a few plugs in shop back then and stuff, but nothing, you know. I had friends and stuff that I knew. Bob Palm was a close family friend. I knew Stan Gibbs because the family stayed right next to where his place was on the, on the Cape, and because of that, I'd always had the opportunity to do this stuff. So when I started doing the custom rods, it just kind of slowly started creeping up. And one day I saw a couple guys fishing with stripers with fly rods, so I tried that one too. And I started making a lot of flies and stuff. And then you had to compete with the stuff overseas coming in. So bit by bit, there's the custom rods and everything evened out and stuff. I started delving into the plugs again because some of what was made just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And that's what it is in a nutshell. This is just my plug bag.
And that's what you find with so many guys who start making plugs. It's just they tinkered with something. They didn't get what they wanted from mass-produced plugs.
Exactly.
These are some pretty big plugs.
Yep.
Are they all that big because of what you get in the
I try to match the bait structure. The bait structure, and I learned something a long time ago from Bob Pond. Big fish, big bait. A fat fish doesn't want to rush chasing something. They will if they have to, but every calorie that they burn up trying to get something to eat gets them closer to their cutoff point where they can't function anymore. So if they can get a big meal nice and easy, they get a big plug, big meal, they're happy. And I've learned a lot with the plugs because I've been a plug fisherman for a very, very long time. If you can't actually make the plug do what you want it to do, to come as close to what you want to match out there, either an injured bait fish, or something you can control in surf conditions or wind conditions, or the colors to match the bait that's out there, you can't get that. The only other option you got is to do it yourself. And it's different up and down the coast.
It is. I mean, your plugs, I think, are a little bit bigger and a little longer than anything I've seen here today.
Yep.
I mean, they all have their uniqueness. They're all nice stuff.
Yep.
Yours seems to be a little bigger. That's why I asked that question.
We get a lot of big mackerel and a lot of bunker up our way and stuff from time to time. And because of that, the larger plugs go over there. But I also do smaller ones. Like these here. These are my rockets for in the canal. They're one of the 5 plugs that you see in the canal all the time. You've got guppy lures down there, you've got left hook lures, you've got mine, you've got the cotton cordell, and then you've got Mike at M&D's plugs. Why? Because they're designed to reach out and touch somebody. You can cast it, center of the canal with these things is easy.
And the canal's how wide?
It goes up to, I think, a couple hundred yards at its widest, a little over a couple hundred yards. There's places in it and stuff where there's guys that have been reputed to regularly bounce a plug on the other side.
That's a cast.
I've seen it. I'm a good caster. I've seen it a couple times. It's like the only time I either do that now is usually by an oops in aligned parts, and you get that plug just goes for an eternity. You yell at the guy on the other side, incoming. But it's to match what you have for bait. A lot of the bait that is there now, there's a lot of small tinkers that come through. So they're looking for something that imitates or as close to the tinkers as possible. The biggest thing that I try to make sure that I do is that they're as rugged and bulletproof as I can make them. The lightest piece of terminal tackle on this thing is a Wolverine 200-pound test split ring. My swivels I put on them, they're a power swivel. It's a 330-pound test swivel. The wire is 1,500-pound test. The hooks are 4X's. I tie my own tail hooks because I get tired of the tail hooks after 2 fish falling apart.
You tie in flies as well?
Yep.
What are we looking at?
I tie mostly saltwater flies. The bread and butter stuff. Lefties, deceivers, clousers, declousers, which is they call it a half and half. I tie some surf candies and stuff. Some real small, skinny ones for the albacore and bonita. So every once in a while, I'll sit there and throw some of what I've learned with the fly tie-in into the plugs. Like the crystal flash and the holographic fiber that's in them, because it does help. It makes the plug work. The glitter that I put in my plugs to imitate the scales. The hard part with some of it is because of the techniques that I use and what I put into them is the plugs have to sit there and be done by hand because there's no bulk media to do some of this stuff. And I'm always coming up with new stuff because there's certain things I want to be able to do. I've got a new sand eel pattern that I'll be bringing out later on this year. I got a big mouth popper that I have. It's got a real wide. 1 second. The big mouth popper.
It's just a huge popper like you would see on a bass plug.
The difference is, with the deep cup, I have to put a swivel in it so you can tie off because you can't tie a clip down in here. And it makes it so your clip's not catching on these lips because one of the things we've noticed over the years with all these quick clips is if they get across like a big bottle plug or something, they bend. With this here, they're away from it, so it's not going to bend. So you have your heaviest contact point is right there. And again, it's all hardware. That's the best I can put into it.
How can we keep up with the latest offerings from Striper Maniac?
I can only do so many a year because I'm a one-man show on the lathe and stuff. And even being retired, I like to fish. And if I can't enjoy myself doing it, there's no point doing it.
So labor of love here.
Exactly. And what happens is I do a big batch, they'll be out there, and then they'll run out, and sometimes it might be a year or 2 years before they come back again, because I can't keep up with all of it at once. And the nice part with that is it gives me a chance while I've got something to sit there and play with it and make sure that what I've done is going to hold up and work. Because again, this is my plug bag.
There's no R&D schedule breathing down your neck to finish a plug by such and such.
My R&D schedule is the first time I get a complaint from an angler on a plug. I'll pull the whole plug, the whole series, and find out what was wrong. You know, send them a couple plugs for, you know, their aggravation and stuff like that. But my R&D is the input I get from people. And so far, I get guys that are catching giant trevally in the Pacific on my plugs, and they're holding up.
Wow.
I get guys with rooster fish that are they're catching down off of Costa Rica with my plugs. I get guys catching school tuna up to 100 pounds and stuff on my plugs, and they're holding up. And supposedly, a guy caught a 700-pound giant on one of my tuna grade ones. They had it laid in the back end of the daisy chain and stuff, and that thing is hyperized. It's about a 600-pound test lure. And the guy said they'd come in, the thing was right dead into the tuna's mouth, and they left bolt hooks on because they wanted to see what was going to happen, and it wasn't going nowhere. And the plug held up. So I'm happy with that. It's not something I want to do a lot of because I get $15 in hardware in a tuna plug. You know, the hooks go for about $4 a piece.
Yeah.
The split rings are $3 a piece. I mean, you know, no, the split rings. I mean, the swivels are $3 a piece. There's a lot in them.
Yes, there is. Great stuff. Any website or?
No website, but I do have contact info. My email address is stripermaniac@yahoo.com, and you send me an email and stuff, and I respond. If I'm on a fishing trip, it might be a little bit because, well, cell phone batteries don't work very well, and I'm like a lot of people my age. I'd rather make stuff than play on the computer, so you know, it's my bad part.
Well, if you're catching stuff, we can wait for you to call back. Ron McKee, Striper Maniac, thank you very much.
Have a nice one.
Can't wait for it to get warmer so you can start fishing again? Get over to the Dock Shop, where they have the latest in fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. You'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut, or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday, right here on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop this Thursday, March 24th. We're coming up on Easter. Have a nice Easter, everybody. Hopefully, Easter Bunny leaves you new fishing gear. That'd be great. So, it wasn't all plugs and soft bait up at the Connecticut Surfcasters Association Demo Day. There also was some fly tying, and we learned a pattern that you can use saltwater, freshwater, deep water, shallow. Let's have a look.
Yankee Fisherman at the Connecticut Surfcasters Association Demo Day with Bill Gobin. Bill is tying. Bill does tying demos for the Connecticut Surfcasters Association and the Housatonic River Fly Fishermen's Association, and ties in this afternoon.
We're tying Angus. It's one of my best big fish striper flies. It's a fly developed by Eric Leiser. Has a deer hair head, pushes a lot of water, and the fish can find it even if the water's cloudy. Makes a good pressure wave. It'll take 4 or 6 saddle hackles for the back of the fly.
It looks like it's kind of a burgundy color.
This was actually a poorly dyed black set of hackles. One more time. Blob on top of the hook shank. If you lean them towards you as the torque on the thread pulls them around, they'll end up standing straight up.
I actually brought a sandwich I never ate.
Next, we're going to take some black marabou feathers. You need ones with a fairly flexible stem so that you can wind them around the hook shank. And we're going to try and keep all of these fibers out of the way as we wind this so it doesn't lash them down, and it's going to make a full-bodied fly with a lot of bulk with very little weight. Tie the first one in by the tip. Trim the tip off. Little saliva. Broke that stem.
Most schools don't even put a shop class.
Stroke the fibers out of the way as you wrap it.
And if you haven't, you gotta pay.
Know everything.
Don't try this
Each
on a
wrap, you're pulling the hackle back toward the shank and toward the bend.
Yes, we're stroking them back out of the way so that we're not wrapping them underneath. You can see this is starting to look like a great big feather duster. Don't try this outside or in front of a hot air heating duct. That won't work. When you're selecting the marabou, feel through the wrap like this.
Yeah, you don't see a culvert all that often. It's usually lashed
Right.
to the shank.
Exactly. And we broke that stem, so we're just going to lash that right there so it doesn't unwind.
If you break a stem, just stop, lash it where it broke, and get a new piece.
Yep. This is an eagle claw Billy Pate tarpon hook. The deep bend on this hook hangs way down, and it seems to make this fly feel pretty good. Keeps it from spinning. probably going to take 3 or 4 of these feathers to do this. We're going to come halfway up the hook shank with the marabou.
You're lashing right at the point where you stopped with the prior feather?
Right at the point where I lashed down the stem when the other one broke. Same thing, we're going to try and keep these fibers out of the way, pull them back.
There is a lot of body to this fly.
Sure is. If you're fishing this in a stillwater situation, each time you strip it and stop, it fluffs back up and it presents a huge silhouette. But like I said, the head pushes out a pressure wave. It also floats the fly. You can use this in a shallow water situation and it won't go to the bottom. I fish these on an intermediate sinking line. The place where I fish these the most is only about 18 inches deep at low tide.
So that's a good size bait fish if being imitated at 18 inches of water.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that the big bait catch big fish theory?
That's the way it seems to work. I also tie these in a much smaller size for trout fishing and for smallmouth on the Housatonic.
I was wondering if there was another use for it. Because it would seem that you could adapt this fairly readily to other uses.
Yep, you can tie this. It's very odd that sometimes black and purple will catch fish when all black won't. I don't know how a fish sees the difference between black and purple. But you can throw a purple marabou feather in here.
From a big manufacturing state, World War II because we just manufacture all we can do now. We can't move everybody. Most everything we do, we need the technology.
So dry in here, the static is making this very unruly.
So you're going to use 3 marabou feathers to cover the shank and hook.
Yep. I've left the front of this bare. It's a little easier to spin deer hair on a bare shank. You can do it when it's covered with thread. Tie that off.
You landmark that looks like about 1/4 inch from the eye.
Yeah, we're going to shove that back just a little bit. I crept forward further than I wanted to.
Gotta get ready for all those game things. My grandson the same way, he doesn't play game. Okay, not winning, so the game on, starts over again. I'm like, wait a minute. We're not stopping the game.
Alright, we're going to put a little bit of flash in here along both sides. The problem with flash material is if you tie it in by the end, when a fish hits it, if they get tangled up in their teeth or their little sandpapery things on a bass, when it stretches, it gets thinner and it pulls out. The easiest way to prevent that is fish a couple of strands out of the side of the package. Just wrap them around the thread.
I live in East Side. Fishing in the Maniac River and falling out last week.
Slide them up, position them anywhere you want. Going to put a couple of strands on this side. And right around the thread, right down on the far side. Give it a quick check.
Just a couple, 3 down each side.
Oh, yeah, yours don't used to be
Just a little bit of flash, lights that right up. Now we have some black deer hair. Deer hair is hollow. It's like a bunch of drinking straws. If you put a string around drinking straws and pull on it, they'll crush in the middle, and the ends will flare out. That's exactly what we're going to do here.
That's the best analogy for it I think I've heard. As one who really is awful at trying to spin deer hair.
Well, number one, black deer hair is awfully hard. I find it's awfully hard to find deer hair that'll do what I want. And a lot of times the dye isn't set right, so it comes off in your hands.
As I see.
When you cut this off, you cut it as close to the hide as you can. And the butts of this have a small amount of fuzz under there. It's the underfur for the deer. Just take a pet brush and you can brush that right out. This first clump, we want to lay the tips back along the body of the fly. We're going to put it on there. We want to be in the first third of the hair up from the butts. That's where it's the most hollow. We're going to make one loose wrap. It starts to flare, we pull gently on it. Second wrap, we're going to pull a little more. And the third wrap, we let go and we push it right around. And you can see it just puffs right up like a big puffball. If it doesn't go all the way around, you can give it a little help. And you can push it back. You wiggle the thread back and forth so you don't lash down all those hair butts. And then you start folding it back on itself. Give it a quick look from the front.
All your trimming on that deer hair is done before you put it on the hook.
This first clump is just on there to lay the tips back, sort of contain the marabou. And we're going to push that back tight with our fingernails. You can use a hair packer. I had one here. See it now? They make a couple different versions. You can use a big pen. You pack that back as tight as you can. The second clump, we don't need the tips. This clump is somewhere between a kitchen.
Are you hoping winter is finally in our rearview mirror? Can't wait for the air and water temperatures to start rising? Well, if the answer is yes, you need to get over to Darien or Westport and stop by the Dock Shop, where it's always summer. Both shops are being stocked with lots of new merchandise, including fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. At the Dock Shop, you'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Online at dockshop.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. The construction is incredible, whether it's the floors, the fireplace, the moldings, the lighting. It's as peaceful as my home was in the middle of the woods. It feels like a house. It does not feel like a condo or a townhome. I feel like I'm in my house.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN network. A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with the Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online at betterviewcleaning.com.
Match in about 1/4 inch in diameter when it's compressed. Once again, pull the short ones out, pull the fuzz out, turn the hair around, and we're going to get rid of the tips this time. If it's long, it's much harder to make it do what you want it to do. Lay that right on the shank, right in the middle of the clump. Loose wrap, tighter, tighter, boom, right around. Once again, if it doesn't go, just help it. Give it a quick check from the front. If that looks good, wiggle the thread, wind through it. Bend the fibers back. Now you really want to, you're going to steady the hook with your left hand and compress it with your right hand. The tighter you pack this, the better the head's going to look when you trim it.
This is why you've really got to be careful to leave yourself room to do the head. I can see it'd be really easy to crowd the eye.
Oh yeah, we're gonna crowd the eye. We're putting 2 more clumps on here.
If I put 2 more clumps on that, I'm never getting a line through it. I couldn't get a 7X through it if I put 2 more clumps on it.
Third time, pull it. Same thing, we're going to help it around. Get it from the front. If you have a bald spot where it didn't fill in, you can just take a clump.
Well, you got a few guys together. You got to assemble them. There were no wires. You got a wire? How to assemble it?
Just lay it on there and hold it. Don't let it spin.
No, it's before I had the shop.
You can let it flare and
So you just fill in that hole.
I just filled in that big bald spot on the far side. We're going to pack this back enough so we can get 1 more clump on here.
Ever since he showed me that a few years ago, about 5, 6 years ago, Dave Scott and I. No, everyone knows that.
I've always look at that and they laugh.
Yeah. I brought it, one canal trip. I brought it, guys are laughing. I don't think it's
I was in a boat, and Greg was in another boat. We were just talking back and forth. And one of the guys that was with him was throwing one of those.
1 more smaller clump.
300-400 pounds.
That's a little smaller than the others?
Yep.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Pop that right on there. Now we're right up tight to the eye.
Yeah, you really have used all of that shank.
All of it. Right up to the eye.
Yeah. You miss a lot of things, you drop a lot of things, but it's very active.
At least it's entertainment.
Stroke the hair back. I have just enough room for a small thread head with finishing tool. Just going to put a whip finish, same way you would finish a rope. The trick is to try and hold the hair out of the way. Slide your scissors up right tight to the hook shank and snip that thread off of there. Before you do anything else, a little dab of glue just so the thread can't unwind. Yeah, saltwater fish are aggressive enough. If a saltwater fish bit this, they would crush this deer hair out of the way, but we want to clear the gap on the bottom anyway. You can see the way that deer hair is impinging on that. So all we're going to do is you can trim this with scissors. But deer hair is quite like plastic, and it slides on scissors, so you want to use serrated scissors if you can, if you have a pair. Really sharp scissors will work. What we're going to do to start, we're going to hold it hook perpendicular. We're going to trim flat across the bottom, almost down to the hook shank. There's a single-edged razor blade. Double-edged razor blade, excuse me. I've broken it in half. We have a fairly flat cut across the bottom. The hook is perpendicular to that cut. In order to make this head symmetrical, it's easier if you square it off first. We'll make a second cut across the top. You don't want to cut back so far that you remove the tips that lay back along the mirror board. Make two cuts down the one or two more little snips.
Name on the back. The ticket is number 84164. 84164. CSA number John Pavlovich. Nice medal swimmer, John. Congratulations.
And we want to thank Bruce Gobin and Tom McKee, the Striper Maniac, for helping us out with today's show. Great job by both guys. That's Bill Gobin, let me correct that. I knew as soon as I said it. Couple events coming up this week. Candlewood Valley TU doing a trip up to the Farmington. There's information at cvtu.org. That's Saturday, 10 to 1. There's some real good information on fly selection there because it has been warm and it's going to affect the hatches and your selection of flies. Mianus TU, they're getting ready for their 42nd annual fundraising banquet. That's April 9th. That's at the Stamford Yacht Club. MianusTU.org for information on that. The ctfisherman.com swap meet is Saturday, April 2nd at the Plainville VFW Hall, 7 Northwest Drive in Plainville, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Admission is $3. Kids under 10 are free. And up in Roscoe, New York, they get an earlier start on trout season. So the 20th Anglers Reunion Dinner is going to be Thursday the 21st at 6 p.m. Opening day, Friday, April 1st at 7:30 a.m. The 15th Annual Fly Tire Rendezvous, that's at the Catskill Fly Fishing Center. That is Saturday, April 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the annual Two-Headed Trout Dinner, Saturday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. That all up in Roscoe. Just a lot going on around opening day. Again, thanks to Tom McKee and Bill Gobin for helping us out with today's show. Have a good Easter. We will see you next week. Until then, tight lines.